You wake up, and for one beautiful, blissful second, everything is normal. You're in bed, the room is small, the ceiling needs repainting. There's a half-eaten sandwich on the desk that has been there for 2 days and a stack of homework that has been there significantly longer. Normal, fine, human. And then you try to roll over, and your hand sticks to the wall. Not like grabby hand stuck. Not like you spilled something. Like, molecularly, structurally, physics-defyingly, your hand has decided that this wall is where it lives now. You yank it free. It makes a sound like Velcro. You stare at your hand stares back. You wake up as Spider-Man. Let's set the scene, because this is important. You are not in a mansion. You are not in a Brentwood estate. You are not in Neverland Ranch. You are in a small bedroom in Queens, New York. In an apartment that Peter Parker shares with his Aunt May. The room is maybe 12 feet by 10 feet. There is a twin bed, a desk covered in physics textbooks and circuit boards, a second-hand computer that sounds like a helicopter when it loads anything, and approximately 47 empty cups that Peter kept meaning to take to the kitchen. The walls have science posters on them. Not cool posters. Science posters. The periodic table. A diagram of a black hole. A slightly crooked photo of a meteor shower that Peter took himself with a camera he built from spare parts. This is your life now. You stand up and immediately notice that standing up feels different. You are not 6'9". You are 5 feet 10, maybe 167 pounds. Lean, but not in the sculpted architectural LeBron way. More in the way that a person gets lean when they're 19 years old and have the metabolism of a hummingbird, and also do parkour across an entire city every night. You stretch, and your fingers, without you asking them to, find the wall again. You're just standing there, and your fingertips are touching the wall, and you are attached to it. Not falling. Just there. You push off experimentally. You walk across the ceiling. You walk across the ceiling of Peter Parker's bedroom in Queens, New York, like it is the most normal thing in the world. It is the single coolest moment of your entire life. Okay, let's inventory what you're working with, because Peter Parker got the full package and it deserves to be appreciated properly. First, the proportional strength of a spider. That sounds modest until you do the math. A spider can lift approximately 50 times its own body weight. Scaled up to Peter's size, that means you can lift, conservatively, somewhere around 10 tons. 10 tons. You could pick up a bus. You could throw that bus. You have on multiple occasions caught a bus. Second, the reflexes. Spider-Man's reaction time is so fast that the world, in moments of danger, appears to move in slow motion. A bullet fired at you from 30 feet away is not a crisis. It is an inconvenience that you can step around while thinking about something else. Third, the spider sense. This is the one nobody fully appreciates. It's not just danger detection, it's a full-body early warning system that runs constantly in the background, like an antivirus program for physical threats. Something behind you shifts wrong? You know. A car runs a red light 2 intersections away and the trajectory is bad? You know. Someone on the 23rd floor of a building is about to drop a coffee mug off the balcony? You know, and you catch it, and that person doesn't even see you, and they spend the rest of the day convinced they imagined the whole thing. Fourth, the web shooters. Now, and this is the part that distinguishes Peter Parker from every other superhero, the web shooters are not biological. They are not magic. They were built by Peter Parker in his bedroom, using supplies he could afford on a part-time salary. The web fluid itself is a custom polymer that Peter designed, the formula for which would make him one of the wealthiest chemists on Earth if he ever patented it. Which he hasn't, because he's Peter Parker. You put the web shooters on your wrists. They click into place with a satisfying mechanical precision that feels like they were built for exactly these wrists. You point at the wall. The web shoots out, hits the wall across the room, and pulls your arm forward so fast you nearly faceplant into the periodic table poster. You try again, more controlled this time, better. You grin, with Peter Parker's face, in Peter Parker's apartment, and it is genuinely the most fun you have ever had before breakfast. But here's where we slow down for a second, Because before you go swinging around New York, and you will, and it will be incredible, we'll get there. You need to understand what you walked into. Peter Parker's life, outside the suit, is one of the loneliest lives in fiction. And the cruel irony of it is that it is lonely because of the suit. Think about it. Peter Parker is one of the most gifted people on the planet. He's doing graduate-level physics at 19. He built a substance in his bedroom that Oscorp's entire R&D department couldn't replicate. He speaks 4 languages. He's an extraordinary photographer. He is by any objective measure exceptional. And he's eating cereal alone. Because every time Peter Parker tries to build a normal life, a relationship, a steady job, a plan, a Friday night, Spider-Man needs him. The city needs him. Someone is always falling off something, or someone is always pointing a weapon at something, and Peter's spider sense goes off, and the cereal goes cold, and the date goes home alone, and the job gets fired, and the plan gets shelved, and it starts again. You look around the apartment. Aunt May is already at work. She's been working double shifts at the clinic. She doesn't know. She doesn't know that the reason Peter comes home late with bruises he explains as "I fell" is because he spent the previous 4 hours stopping an armored robbery on the BQE. There's a sticky note on the fridge in her handwriting. "Dinner at 7. Don't be late this time. Love you." Peter Parker has been late every time. Not because he doesn't care, because he cares too much. Because he learned the lesson about not showing up when it mattered, learned it the hardest possible way, on the worst night of his life. And he will never ever let someone get hurt because he wasn't there. With great power, as someone very wise and very gone once told him, comes great responsibility. You put the sticky note back on the fridge. You will be at dinner at 7. You don't know yet how hard that's going to be. Okay, enough feelings. Let's talk about swinging. You get to the roof of the apartment building. The city stretches out in every direction. Queens giving way to Manhattan, the skyline sitting there, like it's been waiting for you. Buildings and bridges and 8.5 million people going about their morning completely unaware that you exist and that you have been keeping them safer than they know. You stand at the edge. You look down. It is a very long way down. Here's the thing about web swinging that no movie has ever fully captured. It is not gentle. It is not a smooth, floating, graceful experience. It is a controlled physics problem executed at 45 miles per hour. You jump off the building, and your stomach relocates to somewhere near your throat, and you fire the web and it hits the corner of a building 200 feet away, and then the swing arc catches, and the tension pulls, and you accelerate through the bottom of the arc, and your body knows, because Peter's body knows, exactly when to release and fire the next one, and you are flying. Not literally, but if there's a difference, you cannot currently feel it. The city moves past you at speed. Yellow cabs below, steam from street vents, a pretzel cart, someone's umbrella caught in the wind 8 floors up. The smell of New York, which is a complex and entirely unique smell that defies description, but which Peter Parker has loved his entire life because it is the smell of home. You whoop out loud. In Peter Parker's voice, which is younger than you expected, genuine and slightly surprised at itself, and the sound disappears into the wind. You do a flip between 2 buildings just because you can. You do another one, and then the spider sense fires. It doesn't hurt. It doesn't make a sound. It's more like a pressure. A sudden absolute certainty in your nervous system that something is wrong 2 blocks east right now. You don't decide to go, you're already going. There's a mugging happening in an alley off 47th Street. 2 guys, 1 victim, a situation that is about to become significantly worse. You land on the wall above the alley, upside down, which is just where you ended up. And you look down at the scene. And here is where something clicks. Not just the wall crawling, not just the reflexes, but the other thing Peter Parker does that nobody gives him enough credit for. The talking. Spider-Man never shuts up in a fight. This is not accidental. This is not nervous rambling. This is a calculated psychological strategy that Peter Parker developed specifically to disorient people who are used to intimidating others. Because it is genuinely very hard to threaten someone who responds to your threats with a pun. You drop down between the muggers and the victim. "Hey guys," you hear yourself say, in Peter's voice, with Peter's effortless timing. Love what you've done with the alley. Very moody, very New York. Are those actual rats? Or are they emotional support animals? One of them lunges at you. Your spider sense fires. You move, not fast, casual. You step aside like you knew it was coming 3 seconds ago, because you did, and the guy goes past you into the wall, and you stick him there with a quick web across the shoulders, and he makes a very undignified sound. The second one pulls something from his jacket. You've already webbed his hand to his own leg before whatever it was clears his pocket. The whole thing takes 11 seconds. You make sure the victim is okay. They are, and you swing away before they can get their phone out. Because the last thing Peter Parker needs is another photo on the front page of the Daily Bugle with a headline calling him a menace. Speaking of which, you, Peter Parker, also technically work for the Daily Bugle as a freelance photographer, selling photographs of Spider-Man. Let that sink in for a second. Peter Parker takes photos of himself, sells them to a newspaper, and that newspaper's editor, J. Jonah Jameson, a man whose relationship with facts is best described as complicated, uses those photos in articles calling Spider-Man a public menace and demanding his arrest. Peter Parker is literally funding his own smear campaign. He does this because he needs the money. Because Aunt May needs the money. Because being Spider-Man pays exactly nothing, and the web fluid isn't free, and the suit repairs aren't free. And the city just keeps needing saving regardless of whether Peter can afford to eat this week. You swing past the Bugle building. You think about going in, filing a photo, picking up a check, watching Jameson rant about Spider-Man while you stand 3 feet away. You decide maybe not today. There's a moment somewhere between the alley and the rooftop where you stop to catch your breath, where it all lands at once. The city below you. 8.5 million people, every one of them with their own Tuesday. Their own problems, their own cereal going cold. Peter Parker chose this. Not the radioactive spider. That part chose him, but the suit, the responsibility, the trade-off where his own life sits permanently in second place behind everyone else's safety. That was a choice, made in grief and guilt and love, and remade every single morning when he puts the web shooters on. He doesn't do it for the glory. The Bugle makes sure there isn't any. He does it because he can. Because he is the only one who can. And because a long time ago someone taught him that having the ability to help and choosing not to is its own kind of failure. You sit on the ledge of a building 40 stories up, feet dangling over the city, wind in your face, and you think, this is the loneliest job in the world, and also the only one you'd want. You make it to dinner at 7, just barely. You came through the window, changed in 45 seconds, and got to the table with damp hair and a suspicious bruise on your forearm that you are calling a doorframe incident. Aunt May doesn't believe you. She hands you a plate anyway. And for 30 minutes, there's no spider sense, no police scanner, no one falling off anything. Just a small kitchen in Queens. A meal that was made with care, and the only family you have left in the world, telling you about her day. It is, in its own quiet way, the best part of yours. You wake up the next morning as yourself. You lie there for a second. You raise your hand and press it experimentally to the wall. It does not stick. You are deeply, profoundly disappointed. But you think about it. The swing through the city, the alley, the pretzel cart at 45 miles per hour, the feeling at the bottom of the arc when the physics catches and everything goes right, and you carry something with you for the rest of the day. Not the powers, not the web shooters, just the idea that the most extraordinary thing about Peter Parker was never any of that. It was that he kept showing up, underpaid, underestimated, alone half the time, blamed the other half, and he kept showing up. For a city that didn't always deserve it, because that's what you do when you can.